The story begins with Jin Seong working at his computer like any other corporate drone, still thinking about what happened to him the previous night. While eating dinner, a random screen pops up in front of him, startling him completely. The mysterious interface looks exactly like a shop window from those apocalypse webtoons he sees online. He tries tapping and swiping through the items, but nothing works no matter how much he tries. He wonders if it's because he doesn't have any coins to spend. However, he quickly brushes off these thoughts, telling himself this isn't some novel and that he's probably just hallucinating from exhaustion. His mundane morning is interrupted when his fat manager suddenly appears, shouting and calling him names. The incompetent supervisor, who has already failed to get promoted twice due to his own failures, always takes out his frustrations on everyone around him. He approaches Jin Seong's desk aggressively, demanding to know why Hambiol is calling him. Jin Seong calmly explains that he hasn't submitted all the required documents, so the case needs to be reviewed again. The situation escalates when the pig-like manager gets uncomfortably close to his ear, threatening him angrily. Fortunately, Sienna intervenes by offering the pig some drinks to help him cool down, but he immediately shifts his attention to her, grabbing her hand with a disgusting smile and asking her out for dinner. His inappropriate touching makes Sienna visibly uncomfortable, but she politely declines, saying she already has plans. He reluctantly leaves, promising to ask her another time. After the pig is out of sight, both Jin Seong and Sienna sigh in relief. They exchange grateful looks as Jin Seong thanks her for the intervention. Later on the rooftop, our boy reflects on his situation. He can't exactly quit his job since finding new employment is incredibly difficult in the current market. He decides he should bring Sienna a cup of coffee later to show his appreciation, but she suddenly appears beside him, startling him once again. When he asks what brings her to the rooftop since she doesn't smoke, she explains she needs to escape from their manager. She's fed up with his constant dinner invitations and inappropriate touching. As they talk, she mentions feeling unusually cold and shows him her goosebumps despite wearing long sleeves. Jin Seong laughs it off, suggesting she's just sensitive to cold weather, but she insists something is abnormal. She pulls out her phone and shows him a social media post with the caption, "Snow in Africa," which shocks our boy. Their conversation is interrupted by an emergency alert on their phones, cold wave warning. Jin Seong can't believe it since it's the middle of summer, wondering if someone has hacked the meteorological agency. She suggests it might be a glitch, and he agrees that a warning like that in June has to be some kind of joke. Then the impossible happens. Snow starts falling from the sky. Both of them stare in disbelief as actual snowflakes begin covering the ground during the hottest month of the year. That evening, our boy finds himself back on the rooftop, sipping coffee and trying to process the day's strange events. Heavy snow in summer makes absolutely no sense, and he feels like the entire world has gone completely crazy. The temperature has dropped even further since his earlier conversation with Sienna, and he realizes the traffic will be a complete mess, so he decides to wrap up his work and head home. Inside the elevator, Jin Seong notices it isn't moving and wonders if it has broken down. The cold is really getting to him now, making him shudder uncontrollably. His thoughts drift back to the mysterious status window from the previous night. The elevator finally beeps, signaling its closing, which relieves him since it isn't broken after all. However, it immediately opens and closes again repeatedly, as if someone is holding it. But the hallway remains eerily quiet, with no sign of anyone around. Suddenly, a complete blackout plunges the building into darkness. His nervousness spikes as he decides to forget about finishing his work and just get out of there immediately. Then he hears a chilling metal scraping sound that sends shivers down his spine. He hurriedly tries to pack his belongings and escape the office, but realizes he hasn't seen anyone around. He's certain there had been other people before he went to the rooftop. The dark office makes him feel incredibly uneasy, and he notices that everything looks messy, as if people have fled in a panic. Jin Seong calls out to see if anyone is still there, but his bad feeling continues to grow stronger. As he attempts to leave, a silhouette appears behind him in the darkness. He immediately turns around, convinced something is lurking in the conference room. He steps on something wet and sticky, an employee ID card covered in blood. Horror washes over him as he wonders what the hell has happened in the office. Carefully peering into the conference room, our boy's face goes pale with terror. Inside, he discovers a zombie-like creature hungrily devouring a human body. The moment the undead monster notices him, it turns its attention toward its new prey. Jinseong immediately tries to run, but the zombie bursts out of the room and begins chasing him. Jinseong is absolutely horrified as he grabs a nearby chair and hurls it directly at the zombie in front of him. He's breathing heavily, completely exhausted, knowing without a doubt that what he just faced was definitely a zombie. His phone suddenly buzzes with an emergency alert announcing that a mutated strain of rabies virus is spreading rapidly throughout Seoul. Our boy can't believe what he's reading and thinks to himself that this isn't rabies at all. That was definitely a zombie. He immediately checks social media and discovers countless posts about zombies and snow covering the city. Complete chaos is erupting everywhere, and he begins to wonder if this nightmare is somehow connected to the mysterious status window that appeared yesterday. He tries searching for information online, but finds absolutely nothing. Suddenly his phone starts glitching out completely, losing all connection, and he has no idea what he's supposed to do now. The situation is beyond frustrating, and he starts thinking they might all be completely screwed as the freezing cold begins to set in around him. At this rate, the zombies won't even be his biggest problem because he'll freeze to death first. He decides to head upstairs, planning to hold out until rescue teams can arrive. Checking his phone, he notices it still has 83% battery remaining, which might last about 2 days if he's careful. When he reaches the 7th floor, everything is completely silent with no signs of anyone being there. He desperately hopes to find something useful like clothes or food to help him survive. Searching through the drawers, he finds some clothes and immediately changes into them. He frantically continues looking for food, and his face lights up when he finds a bag containing food, water, and even a blanket. He thanks whoever owned these supplies and then starts searching for a weapon. Opening a cabinet, our boy lights up again when he spots several golf clubs inside. He never thought Fatty would ever be useful to him in any way. With all his findings combined, he estimates he could potentially survive for about 3 days. The real question is whether rescue teams will be able to reach him before his supplies run out. Looking outside the window, he sees that the streets below are completely overrun with zombies, and the massive blizzard raging outside will make it nearly impossible for helicopters to attempt any rescue operations. Growing more anxious by the minute, he starts worrying about what will happen if they can't reach him even after a full week, especially as the temperature continues dropping steadily. He opens up the status window again and notices winter clothing available for purchase, thinking that having proper gear would definitely make his situation more manageable. However, the items cost 3 coins, and he has absolutely no idea how to obtain them. Feeling exhausted, he decides to close his eyes and rest for a while. After some time passes, a suspicious figure starts walking around with a flashlight. When Jinseong suddenly senses someone's presence nearby, he immediately springs to his feet, thinking it might be another zombie. Staring intensely at the door handle, he readies his golf club and prepares to swing at whatever comes through. The door opens, and he's about to attack when a normal guy shouts at him to stop. Our boy finally calms down and recognizes the person as Kim Jumin, though he remembers him as that particularly obnoxious guy from work. Jumin explains that he was trapped in the break room when constant banging started coming from outside the door, but he was quick enough to lock himself in safely. Jinseong asks him how he managed to escape from there, but as Jumin tries explaining the details, our boy finds the information completely useless and irrelevant. Jumin then asks if he happens to have any food available. Jinseong gets up and firmly tells him that he doesn't have any to spare. While he might be willing to share water, he absolutely cannot hand out his emergency food rations. Jumin says he'll just take some water then, but suddenly grabs Jinseong's arm and asks again if he's really sure he doesn't have any food. Something feels completely wrong about this guy, and our boy starts studying him more carefully. As he's getting the water, our boy realizes something about Jumin feels seriously off. At first he thought he was just sweating from running away from zombies, but in this freezing cold weather, he's still dripping with sweat, which makes absolutely no sense. Suddenly, he notices what appears to be a zombie version of Jumin standing directly behind him. He immediately gets startled and spins around, hitting the monster in the face with the water bottle while desperately trying to grab his golf club. He kicks the zombie hard against the wall, thinking about how he was perfectly fine just moments ago. Without any hesitation whatsoever, he raises the golf club and smashes it directly into the zombie's skull, bludgeoning it repeatedly until it finally dies as he screams for it to stay dead. As he stands there panting heavily from the intense fight, the status window suddenly appears again with a new notification. The minimap feature has now been activated. After killing the zombie, our boy opens his status window and sees that pathetic single coin sitting there. He can't believe it. He risked his entire life fighting that thing, and all he gets is one measly coin. But then something catches his eye. There are bite marks on the zombie's arm, and suddenly everything clicks into place. He decides to take a moment to cool down and process what just happened. Jimin had been perfectly normal before turning into a zombie, which means appearances can't be trusted anymore. At least his cigarette tastes decent. It's one of the few comforts left in this nightmare situation. That's when he hears a terrifying scream echoing from outside. He rushes to the window and watches in horror as someone tries to fight off a group of zombies with nothing but a baseball bat. The poor guy gets completely swarmed, and after a brutal struggle, he transforms into one of them. Jinseong quickly steps back from the window, cursing under his breath at the brutal reality of their situation. 3 days have passed since the outbreak began. Our boy's phone battery has dropped to a critical 3%, and his food supplies are running dangerously low. Just 1 snack and 4 chocolate bars remain. He's witnessed multiple escape attempts from his window, but every single person who tried ended up becoming a zombie. Despite the horrifying pattern, he knows he can't stay holed up in his room much longer. Sitting here doing nothing will only guarantee his death. His best bet is finding other reliable survivors somewhere in the building. His first target is the 6th floor, where he plans to check if Jimin actually blocked the entrance like he promised. As he prepares to leave the room, the building lights suddenly flicker on. He freezes, wondering what the hell is happening. He quickly peers outside through his window and confirms that every other building in the area is completely dark. Only this building has power running through it. The realization hits him immediately. Someone must have turned on the emergency generator. There's definitely another survivor in this building, and they're smart enough to restore power. This could be his chance. Moving through the now-lit hallways, Jinseong knows the lights could cut out at any moment, so he needs to move fast. The generator and security room are both located on the 1st floor, which is actually convenient for his search. The building is still freezing cold, but at least the lights help him avoid attracting unwanted attention from any zombies that might be lurking around. When he reaches the 6th floor, he does a quick check of the area. Opening the door, he's relieved to see that it's properly barricaded just like Jimin had promised. This gives him hope that there might be more survivors in the building than he initially thought, but he decides to come back and investigate this floor more thoroughly later. Descending to the 1st floor, he notices that the zombies outside haven't managed to break into the building yet. However, there's still a high chance that some zombies are already inside, prowling around in the shadows. He carefully opens the door and prays that the coast is clear, but his worst fears are confirmed. A massive horde of zombies is wandering around the lobby area, making escape through the main entrance completely impossible. The zombies outside haven't broken in yet, but if this situation continues much longer, the doors won't be able to hold them back. He needs to move quickly and efficiently. Inside the management office, Jinseong discovers the corpse of the security guard who used to greet him every morning. The poor man appears to have frozen to death in the chaos. Our boy takes a moment to say a silent prayer and pays his respects to the deceased guard before moving on. The only location left to check is the security room, where the survivor who turned on the generator might be hiding. As he approaches the door, Jinseong wonders if there might be traps set up to keep intruders out. He notices movement in his peripheral vision and spots several zombies prowling around nearby. Based on his observations, their eyesight seems pretty terrible, but their hearing is incredibly sharp. He'll need to be extremely careful with any noise he makes. He gently taps on the security room door, preparing himself for whatever might be waiting on the other side. As he steels himself to open the door, to his complete surprise, someone opens it. The random guy immediately charges straight at Jinseong, who barely manages to dodge at the last second. But our boy realizes they've completely screwed up because the zombies definitely heard all that noise. Both of them start freaking out, but then the stranger suddenly grabs him and yanks him into the room before slamming the door shut. Now they're both standing there with their weapons drawn, having this intense standoff where they're questioning whether the other person is still human. The stranger claims he's not infected, while Jin Seong explains that when he saw the generator come on, he figured there had to be other survivors somewhere in the building. Our boy introduces himself, but he's still thinking what if this guy is infected just like Jimin was. The stranger introduces himself as Choi Jae-sung. Jin Seong notices that this guy has himself completely covered up, which makes him wonder if you could easily hide bite wounds that way. But unlike Jimin, who was sweating bullets, this guy actually looks cold instead of feverish. He spots a supply bag sitting behind Jae-sung, who's still got his weapons pointed directly at him. That's when our boy realizes something important. Infected people show this crazy, irrational hunger and can't think straight. The fact that this guy can actually stockpile supplies and think strategically means he's probably not infected. When he tries to say something, Jae-sung immediately takes a step back. Our boy realizes he's making the guy even more suspicious than before. He's not even interested in whatever's in that bag anyway. So he slowly puts his golf club behind him, and Jae-sung definitely notices the gesture. He starts wondering if that gesture is enough to ease the tension between them. He remembers how back at the workplace, whenever things got awkward, they'd smoke together to break the ice. So he starts thinking maybe he should offer this guy a cigarette to calm things down. Jae-sung sees our boy reaching into his pocket and immediately goes on high alert, ready to attack. But then our boy just pulls out a cigarette and casually offers it to him. Jae-sung stares at it really intensely for a moment, but then he finally starts lowering his weapon just a bit. He tells Jin Seong that yeah, he'll take one. After they smoke together for a while, both of them finally start to relax. Jae-sung mentions that it looks like they're both going to survive this whole mess, and Jin Seong actually manages to laugh at that. Our boy awkwardly admits that he only had half a chocolate bar left to eat, so Jae-sung reaches into his supply bag and pulls something out. He looks at it and realizes it's uncooked instant noodles. Jae-sung breaks the block in half and offers the other piece to Jin Seong, telling him to make sure he chews it thoroughly. As he's munching on the crunchy noodles, Jin Seong asks if he looted the entire second floor. Jae-sung confirms he pretty much cleaned out everything up there. Both guys end up laughing as they bite into the crackling noodles. Our boy asks him what the current situation is like on the second floor. Jae-sung tells him it's really not good at all. Initially, he was trapped in the employee lounge with another survivor. They split all their food supplies equally between them. But that other guy kept insisting they should try to move and find a way out of the building. Jae-sung thought it was way smarter to just wait for rescue teams to arrive. Eventually, his friend couldn't stand waiting anymore and decided to leave on his own. But the moment he stepped outside the lounge, he got completely overrun by zombies and died instantly. Jae-sung counted about 4 zombies roaming around out there. He only had to abandon his safe spot because his phone battery was about to die completely. Jin Seong asks how he managed to escape from that situation. Jae-sung explains that he threw random objects around to distract the zombies and then crawled out on his stomach like he was doing some military stealth mission. Our boy is genuinely impressed because escaping from 4 zombies safely is actually incredible. He asks if Jae-sung was the one who turned on the emergency generator, and he confirms, saying that he desperately needed to charge his electronic devices. Our boy asks if that even matters in their current situation. Jae-sung looks surprised and asks if he's seriously been trying to survive this whole time without using the internet at all. Jin Seong points out that there's no cell signal anywhere, but Jae-sung tells him that satellite internet is still functioning perfectly, which completely blows our boy's mind. Jae-sung asks if he's heard of SpaceX's Starlink system because that internet connection is still working. Even though most servers are completely down, there are still a few online communities that remain accessible. Our boy admits he had absolutely no idea about any of this, so Jae-sung offers to let him charge his phone. When Jin Seong plugs it in, the thing actually starts working perfectly. He thanks Jae-sung for sharing all this crucial information with him. But then they both notice something really concerning. It looks like the generator is starting to run out of fuel. Jae-sung asks what he plans to do next. As for himself, he's definitely planning to stay right here in this safe location. Jin Seong realizes that this guy basically wants him to leave. He understands Jae-sung's survival strategy perfectly. Hold out as long as possible in the safest location available and don't let anyone else waste your precious food supplies. Our boy also realizes that he's not the right survival companion for him either. It makes complete sense for them to part ways right here and now. He tells him he'll be leaving, and Jae-sung is clearly relieved to hear it. As a parting gift, Jae-sung grabs his supply bag and offers our boy a spare flashlight along with extra batteries. Our boy is absolutely thrilled by this gesture. In a situation where there's no electricity anywhere, these items are incredibly valuable for survival. In return, he offers Jae-sung some of his remaining cigarettes. With that final exchange, our boy makes the decision to leave. Once he steps outside the room, he looks around and sees that the zombies are still wandering around the hallways. Thankfully, the building doors are still holding strong against the outside zombies. As he moves out the open area, he starts thinking about heading down to the basement where his car should still be parked. Maybe he can use that to escape from the building entirely. But he starts wondering if right now is really the best time to make that kind of move. There will definitely come a time when he'll have to escape this building, but leaving immediately might not be the smartest choice. Instead, he decides to head upstairs first and gather more information about what's happening throughout the building. As he starts moving around, that freezing cold temperature begins creeping back in again. He pulls out his new flashlight and carefully starts walking up the stairwell. 4th floor, 5th floor, 6th floor. He's getting close to the top now. He can definitely sense that there's something waiting on the upper floors, most likely another zombie. Even knowing that, there's absolutely no turning back at this point. Weapon at the ready, he pushes forward into the unknown dangers waiting above. He spots a zombie standing above him, but fortunately the rooftop is within sight. This is his chance to escape, but the zombie suddenly turns toward him. He quickly retreats as the monster lunges at him with terrifying speed. He dodges swiftly and strikes it in the neck, sending it crashing into the wall, but the zombie still won't go down. It lunges at him again, but this time Jin-seong delivers a devastating blow. Even though he wonders if it's finally over, the zombie continues moving, so he finishes it off completely. After defeating it, he obtains 1 coin. Panting heavily, he opens the shop window and sees he now has 2 coins total, but still can't afford to buy anything useful. He examines his golf club and notices it's completely bent, though he thinks it might still have another use. Looking at the defeated zombie, he wonders where it came from. He tries opening the door to the rooftop, but finds it locked. He realizes the floor above might not be safe either, but decides to go up regardless. Thankfully, the area seems safe for now. As he drinks water to recover, he reflects on how incredibly fast that zombie was, probably even faster than when it was human, moving almost like a wild animal. If he gets outnumbered by these things, he's definitely cooked. He realizes he needs to either increase his allies or ensure he's always fighting one-on-one. Deciding to check the internet for new information about the zombies, our boy looks at his phone but finds no new facts about them. What he already knows is that they're sensitive to sound but have dulled sight and smell. He wonders if people turn into zombies by being bitten, but one thing is clear now. The government has collapsed, no one is coming to save him, and he must survive on his own in this damned world. It's already day 5 of the apocalypse, and Jin-seong is shivering from the cold. If this continues, he'll catch a cold, and getting sick in this situation means death. He decides to move around to generate body heat, but then his stomach growls loudly. He munches on some chocolate, knowing he needs calories now and can't just eat half portions anymore. He decides to travel light since putting on too much gear will only hinder his movement. Going barefoot will definitely be less noisy than wearing shoes. But he needs to find food before his situation gets worse. Leaving his room, he remembers what Jae-sung told him about half the food in the development team break room still being there. He also recalls the bag belonging to Jae-sung's friend who turned into a zombie. The problem is there are probably at least 4 zombies in the area, making it impossible to steal the bag without other zombies noticing. The only way is to take them out one by one. He knows there's 1 zombie in development room 1, another in room 2, and 1 in the new business team. But he wonders where the 4th one is. Could it have not turned? He thinks about it and realizes there were no corpses between the break room and the exit, so there has to be 1 more somewhere. But first, he needs tools to face all of them. Looking inside the supply room, he's relieved to see no one there. He heads in and is glad to find the non-food supplies still intact. But suddenly, the zombies begin getting active, and Jin-seong positions himself right at the door as he readies himself for battle. The hunt begins. He starts by throwing a cup to draw their attention. As they head toward the sound, he prepares to smash one right in the face. The moment it notices him, he strikes with a devastating blow. That's one down. Other zombies try to get inside, but he immediately closes the door, just as he planned. But all of a sudden, the zombie he thought was dead grabs his leg. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.